Sean Salisbury here for Open Sports. Let's look at some of the coaching things that have gone on. First, the St. Louis Rams hired Steve Spagnuolo. I thought the Jets should have jumped to that forefront and taken care of that quickly. But you know what? St. Louis, this is a big win for them. They go out, they're used to St. Louis in the past has been, they like that offensive thing. They like to have that fast break offense. Okay, then they went to Scott Linehan. After Vermeil and Martz were gone, they went to Scott Linehan. What happens? Scott struggled, offensive coach. Then they go to Haslett, but Jim really put in a situation. Jim was their defensive coordinator, and they put him in a situation as the interim coach. Things did not go well for them, but it's about players. And no matter how good a coach or how much I respect Jim Haslett, you still got to have players. And for Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to have to get players too. Arizona's going to have to St. Louis is going to have to step up their game, and they're going to have to really, really, really push their game to the next level so Steve Spagnuolo can be successful. But this is a good hire. It may even be a great hire, but anybody who says we know yet, we don't know. But I love Steve Spagnuolo, and here's why. He comes from a winning background with both Andy Reid and with Tom Coughlin. Understands the preparation that goes into being a great football team. He does. He'll handle that and how to set his week and how to get things going. He'll handle that. He'll have this defense doing something that the Saint. I keep wanting to say Arizona because they used to be the St. Louis Cardinals, and now we got the St. Louis Rams. So if you're St. Louis, you've got to do something. You've got to use your skilled people to the best and put them in positions to be successful, like Spagnuolo did Justin Tuck, like he's done O.C. Umenyor, like he's done a bunch of different people in New York and has a Super Bowl ring to prove it. Now he gets a chance to put that, and it's a great challenge. But you know what? The NFC West can be won in a hurry. You can see Seattle and St. Louis turn around just like that and win. This is a great hire by St. Louis and a guy who understands, but I love his background and who he's been taught by. And the other thing now, another coaching situation, John Gruden gets fired along with the GM Bruce Allen. Now, I think that a lot of people are shocked by this, but maybe some shouldn't be. The one thing about John, and I'm a huge John Gruden fan, I am. And I'm not much of a fence sitter when it comes to making decisions on coaches and players and general managers or how I feel about something. John Gruden's a heck of a football coach. He is. And we've obviously seen that. He's got a championship ring, and he's been to a Super Bowl, and John understands. John gets it. But here's what I got to tell you about this situation is that when a coach like that, like even Pat Riley, who coached in the NBA and coaches, after a while, sometimes the grinders, they wear on a team. And John Gruden is a grinder. He falls in love with 20 different quarterbacks. He grinds on the team. He's constantly in that mood of, he looks like he's frustrated all the time and grinds in the practice field. Like I said, if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I'd jump on Shanahan or Gruden, even though they haven't fired their coach, or if I was a team that's the Raiders, although Gruden isn't going back there, and Mike Shanahan sure as hell isn't going to the Raiders, neither one of those guys, because of their backgrounds with the Raiders. But if you're a team like the Cowboys who, I still think they need to make a change at their coaching position. You go get a guy like Gruden or Shanahan, or if you're a college program that's looking for an upgrade, you go get those guys or offer them a job. Those two guys aren't going to be unemployed long. But back to Gruden, is that John is a grinder. And a lot of times the act starts to wear thin. And when you start out, 9-3 and don't make the playoffs, it's not good. But that's the coaching profession, unfortunately. You say, how can Gruden get fired? He's put up great numbers. He's these Pro Bowlers and what he's done with the team, and at times has overachieved with the team that's been aging on defense and done a great job, and at times underachieved. And they underachieved in the last 6 weeks of the season, and it cost them. So that being said, with John in that position, and Tampa became a disappointment the last 6 weeks of the season, John's out. And they're making a change, GM and head coach. And the rumor is Raheem Morris is going to be the head coach there, and I think that's probably going to be a great hire. This is a young coach who's coached defensive backs, who's learned and going to be promoted to head coach. But getting back to Gruden now, I understand why teams do this, why owners, you get to a point, there's disappointment. Players, John's going to have guys on his team that respect him, yes, but he's always going to have those players that don't like him. That's just the way it is. But it's not about like, it's about respect. And I think they respect John, but I also get to a point where I think players want to play for somebody else at times. But John can go fix a program in a hurry. And like I said, this is a great football coach. But John Gruden out as the head coach of Tampa, and the Buccaneers are going to make a change as far as and sometimes when you go from a grinder, then you need to go to maybe a guy who, and I don't want to say players coach because that sometimes can be a negative feeling, a coach that is a little more willing to budge on things. Now, not change his philosophy, but willing to budge. And John's stubborn. Mike Shanahan's stubborn in Denver, but they're now that he's out of Denver, but both of them. I'll tell you what, if I'm a general manager, you look at both of those guys and say, I can use that guy. If you're the Jets, why wouldn't you look at both of those guys? I don't understand. I mean, now that you're not going to get Spagnuolo, why wouldn't you? I would. I mean, you want a guy who can come in and win now. But Gruden out at Tampa, like I said, coaches like that can begin to grind on people. And after a while, if you don't win, they also grind on certain front office people, and egos get involved. But John Gruden will be a head coach again, and John Gruden will have a great job again, and John Gruden's teams or college team or NFL team will win again. But I think there's people out there that are shocked, but some of us aren't shocked because sometimes, we give coaches a hall pass for their past, and John will have a great future. But I think Tampa, I think it's time for them to take another. They're taking some steps and personnel that they're going to have to take as they replace people who are winding down their career. But they also had to make this change because I think it's good for a lot of times for players' confidence to have a change and maybe have a coach that has a little bit different philosophy. And John Gruden, though, believe me, if you're the Jets or somebody else, get him in for an interview quickly so you have an opportunity to get a guy who is a great turnaround guy for a football program. I'm Sean Salisbury for Open Sports. I don't believe that the firings of coaches and the hirings of coaches is done yet. I don't believe it. And if you think I'm crazy, remember now the Dallas Cowboys at the beginning of this playoff run when they didn't make it after they lost their last game, everybody said, and Jerry Jones came out and said coaching staff is intact. Well, since then, they not only fired their special teams coach, but they just fired Brian Stewart, their defensive coordinator. Wade Phillips took over him for the play calling about the last 10 games or so of the season, and their defense played great. But I think Wade Phillips is more of a coordinator, yet he's still the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So if you think the Cowboys are set in their coaching staff, you're wrong. They've already made 2 changes. Does it stop there? We'll see. I'm Sean Salisbury for Open Sports. Like I said, the coaching situation is not done in the NFL yet. Have yourself a great weekend.
Think you can complete the drive? Play today and get an automatic entry to win daily prizes, 2 tickets to the big game, and a brand new car. Start your drive today at opensports.com.